that can speak a good speech or tell a good tale, but people that have been buffeted, tested, tried, pushed beyond human limits, and still true to him. There's some people, hang on, you're not going to like this. There's some people, their testimony means little to me because I've watched their life for years. And there's a lot of bragging and boasting in it. And I've watched time after time as things have knocked him for a loop. And questions, so where's God? And there's other folks, bless your hearts. There's other ones I've watched them. They've been hammered. They've been beat. They're like the man in the 7th chapter of Matthew who built his house on the rock, who loved the Word, who loved Jesus, and the storms of life have really hammered them. And they smile when they look out the window. Jesus is still the King. Others are picking through the ruins of what once was because they were all talk and no life. So, as we approach, enter, live out these last days, your faith is going to be sorely tried. I mean that. And it's good for you. It's good for me, whether we like it or not. Whereas don't think that some strange thing happened to you. I watch my wife. You shouldn't be talking about your wife. Why not? If you don't stop finding fault, I'll start talking about you. How you make big speeches, but when your rubber hits the road, you're not there. This is no hour for playing church. This is not a day to play games. This is not a time to seek popularity. It's time to tell the truth and get ready to go. Are you here? You know, God sent Shuku here, I don't know, almost a year, I guess. It's from Japan. I read an article the other day about the terrible after effects of that tsunami that hit Japan and caused all that nuclear problem. And they told a story of a farmer that's out planting his seed in soil that's retroactive and hoping that it'll grow. He lost everything in a moment of moments. He just watched his whole village swept away, friends gone, homes, everything. I don't mind telling you I shed a few tears because I thought about the American church. And the fact that we've been blessed. And the fact that we live in a blessed country. But it's all going down the drain. Honestly, it is. And I think, what are people going to do? How are they going to react? You see it with the shoreline in New Jersey and the after effects of Storm Sandy, storm of the century. You see it in New Orleans. What people with a right mind want to build a house where the sea can keep knocking it over? And as long as the government keeps paying to rebuild it, it'll keep up. It'd take me about 10 minutes to settle some things in Washington if I was there. We're going broke. We don't have money for Social Security. Dad that worked all his life and now he counts on that Social Security, he's going to have to take a cut. Does it make sense to you that that elderly man and woman lose their Social Security or a great part of it to rebuild somebody's house on the seashore for the 12th time? Have we all gone crazy? Can't even think straight anymore. Oh, Pastor, I never heard you talk like that. Stick around, it's going to get worse. So God is allowing things, and Peter said, don't think it's strange, to try our faith, to test our faith, so that you can see if you're weak in this, strengthen it. How do you strengthen it? What does Romans say? Faith comes by what? The Word. It comes from the Word. So if you find your faith is not as strong as you thought it was or you declared it to be, you get into the Word and you build it up and you strengthen it and you get ready for the next round. Let me give you some pointers that will help you when the crisis arrives at your house, whatever it is. When you find yourself in the crisis hour of life, turn to Isaiah chapter 43. There are certain things that are predictable in our lives because we're human beings. And God, knowing that, made provision for us. Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 2. When, not if. When? It's important you see that. Not in case. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. You've got to remember this. Let the Holy Spirit burn it into your memory today. You've got to remember this. When you're going through deep waters in life, one of the things that the enemy's going to throw at you is, where is the Lord? The Lord has abandoned you. The Lord isn't hearing your prayers. The Lord isn't with you. You've got to tell yourself. The Word says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with thee. So no matter how deep the water gets in your life, no matter how the enemy comes in like a flood, you've got to say to yourself over and over and over and over again until it becomes part of your very being, He's with me. He's not a fair weather friend. God doesn't jump up and run because you're going through deep waters of life. He doesn't take off and say, I'll be back when the storm's over. Oh, I've gone through some deep waters. We're going through some right now. And you got to keep telling yourself, because the devil's going to pound your mind. I'm telling you, that's how he attacks thoughts. Where's the Lord? How come this is? I'm with you. 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 Jesus never said, as long as the sailing's smooth, as long as everything's going all right, as long as you're happy, as long as the sun's shining on your life, I'll be there. But if things go wrong, you're on your own. Never, 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 never. You know what? In the darkest of nights, you can learn to know Him better than you ever knew Him before. In the most crucial of times in your life, you can have a relationship. You know why it's easier? Because everybody else has deserted you. And He stands there and says, come on, hold my hand. How many of you have people run out on you when you're having a hard time? People that said to you, if you ever need me, call me. And you called, you took them at their word, and what'd they say when you called? Oh, they're very spiritual about it. They don't say, I don't want to help you. That's an inconvenience. I wish you wouldn't have called. I've got other things to do. They don't say that. They all say the same thing. They learned it at hypocrite school. It goes like this. Oh, I'd love to help you. But many, many years ago, I had a 1964 Buick. It was the first Buick that ever came out with a V6 motor. And I was way out on the other side of Berlin one stormy night, and it quit. And I got it over to the side of the road. And a man came along, wanted to know what I told him. He said, well, I could take you into Berlin. He said, there's a hotel that's open all the time. It's called the New National Hotel, still there. And he said, you could probably, that's the days before cell phones. Nobody ever heard of a cell phone. He said, I'm sure there's a phone there. You could call somebody to come after you. I said, fine. So he did. I made 3 calls before I got one of my dear brothers that had promised me if I ever need him, call me, before one of them would come. Now I got to get up next Sunday morning and face those guys. Pastor, if you ever need me, I don't care what it is, when it, call me. Simple me. I called them. I believe what they said. Oh, I'd like to come, but till I get to Berlin and pick you up, I'm not talking about Berlin, Germany. I'm talking about Berlin, Pennsylvania. It'll be 3:30 till I get home, and I get to work at 7 o'clock. But I'd like to help you. Finally, I got a hold of one coal miner. Boy, he worked hard for a living. I'll be right there. It'll probably take me the best part of an hour to get, I'll be right there, as soon as I can get there. Now, he had to get up and go to work. What's the difference between him and the other ones? When his word was put on trial, it came through. Authenticity was added to what he said. Those other two, I never believed anything they said after that. Pastor, does it bother some of you that I'm for real? That I tell it like it is. I don't get all excited anymore. Oh, if you ever need me, just call. I'd like to believe it. I want to believe it. And sometimes I think I ought to call people at 4 in the morning just to see if they're real. You better look at the ID before you answer your phone tomorrow. But, you know, the enemy's going to make you feel like the Lord's abandoned you. He will. How many of you ever had the enemy propose those thoughts to your mind when you're going through a hard place? Sure. That's his job. That's his business. He wouldn't be on the job if he wasn't doing that. So you have to counteract the negative thoughts that he's putting in your mind, and you have to fight back. And you use this verse. The Lord said, when I go through the deep waters, he'd be with me. He'd be with me. He'd be with me. And he's here. They shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon you. It's the Lord's way of saying to his children, no matter what you go through, how oppressive and how difficult it is, I'm going to be right there with you. He proved that with the 3 Hebrew boys. Right there in the midst of the fire. And an ungodly king said, how many did you put in the furnace? 3. There's 4 in there now. And the 4th one looks like the Son of Man. Sometimes when you go through the crisis of life is the best time for your testimony to reach others, because they see you handle it differently than they would. They see you not coming unglued and coming apart and all that stuff. And in essence, they see the Lord really is with them.